times. Good
go.
evening. Welcome to CBS Weekend News. My name is ZartaVex. I'm so glad to have you all with me tonight. We have a lot to talk about, actually. There's a lot going on in America and around the world right now. First, let's get right into our first topic. One of the head leaders of Iran, as you know, Iran is a country in the Middle East and is a hostile country towards the West, specifically the United States. Uh, and they recently just put out a statement saying that they're ready for talks with the West, with NATO, with the U.S., but they're not going to do it under Western pressure. If you don't know what Western pressure means, it means they want their own conditions. They're not going to be forced into conditions sent by the United States. So this is very important because Iran and the United States are currently trying to talk with each other about the nuclear deal. The United States does not want Iran to pursue research for nuclear weapons, and that's for obvious reasons because it's Iran. And if they did, that would be very bad for the U.S. because they would have another nuclear rival besides Russia, China, and maybe even Pakistan. So that's something that we're looking carefully at. But they're not just focusing on the nuclear deal; they're also focusing on other stuff such as climate change, natural disasters, and things of that sort. And right now, that is all we have on that story. It was just reported out, so we will have more information about that as the days goes on. As the day goes on, we have another topic here for you tonight. President Biden, was blasted for using a cheat sheet in Louisiana when he was giving a statement about the hurricane, the tornadoes happening in Louisiana right now. As you know, President Biden, he has a weak mental and cognitive state. He's always stumbling across his words, and now he's been caught with a cheat sheet at a press conference in Louisiana, and it's very sad and embarrassing to have a president that needs a cheat sheet because it makes him seem like a baby. It makes him seem weak. It makes him seem incompetent. And we've been dealing with this for the past 7 months, and the main media isn't saying anything about this. They're just letting it slide, letting it happen. But we're here to call it out. We're here to bring you the facts. Joe Biden is not well. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that in a bad or insulting way. But it's actually something serious that we need to look at, and something that I think the White House doctors need to look at. Because for the past 7 months, Joe Biden has been stumbling across his presidency, barely doing well in terms of his mental state. So that's important we need to worry about. And remember, Joe Biden may be bad, or excuse me, people may consider Joe Biden to be bad, but if he's not doing his best, we should never pray on his downfall. We should always make sure and pray for him to make sure he's doing his best as president because it affects us all. And if he somehow, for some reason, is no longer the president, we are left with Kamala Harris, who, in my opinion, is a way more terrible choice. And on to our third topic. In Texas, as you know, Texas is the home state of our CEO, Michael T. Roberts. Thank you, Michael. Texas banned abortions. The Texas state legislature banned abortions after 6 weeks. That is something very big and controversial right now. And there's many companies firing back at Texas and firing back at them, such as GoDaddy. That's something we reported yesterday. A private company. They're now suspending. Anti-abortion organizations on the website. Same with Lyft and Uber. They're firing back at the Texas legislature. That's something that's something that's very important because in Texas, it's a very I wouldn't say it's a very red state, but it's a very it's a very conservative leaning state. So that's something that most people in Texas support. However, it's something that a lot of Democrats and liberals also do not support. There's a big religious issue with the abortions. Scientists have even weighed in. So it's a religious issue, scientific and medical issue. But in my opinion, I believe that there need to be some restrictions on it because we are literally killing human life, and life starts at the moment of conception. We're killing human life. Do I think that all abortion should be banned? No, of course. There should be exceptions for rape, incest, etc. But if you if you did it, you did the nasty one night. Now you have to pay the price. You can't just kill someone. You can't kill human life just because of your mistakes. That's not right. And if it happened to any one of us, that also wouldn't be right. So that's something that's very, very, very important. And I personally support that. And on to our last topic before we go to a quick commercial break. General Milley, he's a top military general right now. The Joint Chiefs, I believe Obama as well, and maybe even Bush. He says since the U.S. has pulled out, Afghanistan is likely to go into a civil war, and Al Qaeda is expected to be reinstituted. If you don't know what Al Qaeda is, it's a subdivision of the Taliban, and it's a terrorist organization that we were fighting in the Middle East in the early 2000s that we defeated, and now the United States military generals are saying Afghanistan is likely to go into a civil war, and the reinstitution of Al Qaeda is expected. So now the United States is going to have the Taliban, Al Qaeda, and ISIS-K, which is an ISIS variant. We're going to have many new and prominent terrorist organizations in Afghanistan, which is really bad because they're all in one country. So what are we going to do? What is the U.S. going to do? Are we going to go back into combat missions? Are we going to drag ourselves into another 2-decade war? Or are we going to sit back and relax? That's something we need to look at. And the Taliban has been very friendly with China lately. And they recently put out a statement saying that China was their #1 ally. But it is unclear if China feels the same way. But China has been supplying money and weapons to the Taliban. We will be right back after a quick commercial break, and we're going to have a very special guest come on soon. Thank you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to CBS Weekend News. We have a very special guest, Rush Hamilton. He's joining us tonight. Hello, Rush. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Of course. Now, Rush has a segment. He's going to do a small segment he's going to do for our show tonight. So without further ado, Rush, your segment.
Thank you. Tonight, CBS has received official video from CPS officials arresting 10 illegal immigrants in drainage system. This comes as the migrant amount has increased during the Biden presidency. What we can see from the video is 10 illegal immigrants, including minors, were apprehended and placed in the custody of U.S. CBS officials. What we can tell from this is that there was no signs of any drugs or weapons received during this. So what we can pertain from this video is that these were illegal immigrants trying to cross to America for hopefully a more prosperous future, but seemed to be apprehended nevertheless. Luckily, there were no signs of any official arrests made and were returned to Mexico due to the current Supreme Court ruling stating that former President Trump's policy to stay in Mexico policy, which was placed in his presidency, has been reenacted due to Biden's mass amount of increased illegal aliens placed into the United States within Southern Texas communities, Biden administration, and then they skyrocket. I mean, the amount of single minors is just terrifying. We're looking at 4,000 when President Trump was in office. And of course, we never want to see minors coming in, especially when they're alone. But seeing now that we're seeing 18,000 as of last month, it's just startling. The total official number of just illegal aliens that crossed the border were 1,999,000 and 777. If we look at President Trump's, it was only 69,000, a very high increase of illegal immigrants crossing the border. So many Americans tonight are wondering, are we just a landmass or a country? Because clearly our borders have been completely obliterated by policy change. And now the questions come to the Secretary of Homeland Security and CPS officials, what are we going to do about this? Especially, what is the future of our border? Considering Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, is in charge of the border operations, and we've seen nothing from her. And last time I could check, she has not come to the border once, but have been able to go to South Asia, Mexico, and other visits. And that just comes to another blow to the Biden administration after the horrible withdrawal of Afghanistan and the loss of 13 U.S. service members. So I mean, just reading this just, shakes my head and just breaks my heart to see that, we're not helping people when we can be, because we want to allow people in this country. We want to give them the ability to have a future. But when we look at this, we're not seeing families being put together. We're seeing families being completely separated. The one promise that they said they wouldn't do, but in reality they are. So that's just a very shocking and sad moment, our current state of affairs in the United States of America.
Oh, sorry, apologies. Thank you for that report. It's really sad what's happening at the border. Our leaders right now in Washington, specifically President Biden and his administration, and Kamala Harris, who was put in charge of the border, she's just completely abandoned her duties. Now she's not doing anything in regards to Latin America or Mexico or finding, quote unquote, the root problems for immigration. And she's doing nothing about the border. She visited, once, and was just a mass photo op. She didn't do anything. She's selling her books at the border. Children are dying because of the situation right now. They're sending mixed messages. At the beginning of the administration, they told them to come. Now they're telling them not to come. It's spewing a lot of confusion. And Central American countries are just really, really mad right now. And their communities and our communities at the border are just in potholes. So that's very important. And thank you so much for that report. And Russia's going to be staying for the rest of the show while we talk about our next topics. Now, this is a very, very sad event that just happened, I believe, today. 5 missing sailors have been declared dead after a helicopter crash in San Diego. This is very, very sad news. At around 4:30 p.m. local time, the Navy put out a statement saying that five search helicopters, the USS Abraham Lincoln, the USS Cincinnati, and vessels from the Coast Guard tried to locate sailors who were part of the Navy's 3rd Fleet. The Navy said it was trying to recover the bodies. The sailors had been flying in a helicopter which was operating on the deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln, and the helicopter. Before the helicopter crashed, and they've been searching for their bodies for about a week, I believe, and now they've been declared dead. They suspected that they were dead a few days before, but they were not entirely sure, and now they have found their bodies, and this is very, very sad, a very sad event. We lost 13 brave soldiers in Afghanistan, and now we have 5 sailors who have died in a helicopter crash. So, Rush, what are your thoughts on this? This is very sad, and I imagine the families of these victims are very, very heartbroken.
Right. And I think this all comes back to training, and especially not just with pilots, but as well as maintaining our aircraft. Now, this could be a technical failure. This could have been a rotary failure. We don't know what could have happened. We don't have an official report from the Navy yet, especially the Coast Guard. But what we can pertain is that this is just a sad moment, and this is just another reason why these U.S. service members they're in danger every day. It doesn't matter if they're home or if they're in Afghanistan or Iraq or a whole other country. I mean, it matters is that they're protecting lives. They're protecting the freedoms, and all it takes is one mishap for 5 lives to be lost. And we saw, last week, 13 lives be lost due to poor policy decision. And now, of course, we don't know what the circumstances were to why the helicopter crashed. Well, if it was pilot error, mechanical, we don't know that yet. But this all comes down to, one simple thing can change the whole way a whole situation plays out. My hearts go out to the families. I don't know how they would feel, just, imagine, talking to your husband saying he's going on a routine training flight and then learning, a few days later that he's dead. And, he didn't die a heroic way, or he didn't die peacefully. He died most likely from drowning or a whole other way. And so I think that's just a lot of pain and pressure to put on a person, especially those that could have children, and especially the parents. And so, this is just a really sad moment for our service members, especially now if we consider it in just 2 weeks, we've lost now 18 service members. And that's a very high number, and those lives should not have been lost. There should not be 18 service members now being posted on social media, 18 new caskets being carried to Arlington or closed cemeteries. I think it's just a sad day and a very sad 2 weeks for America.
Yeah, I completely agree. We've been going through a few rough weeks, especially with the situation in Afghanistan. We're going to talk about that. That's going to be our last topic, but something really exciting for all the Trump supporters out there. Jim Jordan actually confirmed that Donald Trump will be running for re-election in 2024. He said he spoke to Trump. It was caught on footage on Twitter. He said he spoke to Trump, and Trump said he's enthusiastic and he can't wait to announce and that he will be running in 2024. So that's very exciting for many of the Trump supporters and many of the former Biden supporters who made the wrong choice in 2020, who have now flipped their opinions and missed Trump. I'd rather have mean tweets than 13 U.S. troops dying in Afghanistan. So that's what I think. I'd rather have mean tweets than an immigration crisis or just partisan gridlock in Congress. And that's very good for the Trump supporters out there, including me and many of you. So this is very unfortunate for some people, such as Nikki Haley, who has been depicted as a half-Trumper, or Chris Christie, Ron DeSantis, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, all those people who were our 2024 hopefuls for the Republican nomination. But that means a vice presidential nomination might be open if Trump, who I presume will win the nomination, wins. There's been talk about Candace Owens becoming his vice presidential nominee, but I think if we take a more realistic look, it will most likely be Ron DeSantis. That's what Trump even said himself. Or if not Ron DeSantis, maybe Mike Pence, if they can, get back on track with the relationship. So that's something people are looking forward to. And now for our last topic of the day, Afghanistan. We're going to go more into detail about that, the aftermath of Afghanistan. We already told you that it is likely that Afghanistan will go into a civil war, with the Taliban, Al Qaeda, and ISIS-K being the main components of that civil war. But let's take a focus on something else: the aftermath. Rush, what do you think of just the whole evacuation? How did you think? Just give Biden a grade. How do you think he did?
Considering the 13 lives lost, the loss of almost $85 billion of taxpayer money, I would have to give him an F. And the F is, I think, the only clear option. What success did we have during this withdrawal? We didn't bring the Americans home like we promised. We sacrificed 13 American lives when we could have secured, transportation of Americans and allies through Bagram Air Base, but we gave that up. We didn't remove our weaponry. We didn't remove our aircraft. We didn't remove our vehicles. We handed them all to them. And so, what I think to it is, we talk about all the lives lost, 1,000 of lives lost in Afghanistan in the 20-year war. Just imagine what we just did. We just put all that bloodshed, all that pain, right back into the hands of the Taliban. We gave them everything they wanted: weapons, vehicles, technology. And when I think about this and I go on to Instagram or I go on to Twitter and I'm looking through news feeds or I'm looking through current other correspondence, and I see our helicopters that we use to rescue American lives and to help, rescue citizens in Afghanistan now being used as ways to hang people. It's just sickening to my stomach. And I don't think that we as Americans can give Biden a pass for this. I don't think anyone can say a man who rejected his general's advice and rejected his national security advisor's advice and believed in a set number and believed Trump when Trump had very strict agreements and very strict rules to his agreement of when you'd be pulling out. We just pulled out like we were just pulling out of a first date. We didn't pull out strategically. We just said, hey, here's our date. We'll leave this day. Our stuff will be here, here, here. We'll see you then. And so just think about what countries that want to harm us are thinking now. If it's that easy to get America out, how easy will we be able to hit America? So I think there's a lot of questions that Americans are asking, and especially the Biden administration should be asking. For obviously, especially with 22 midterms coming up, if they want to hold on to the House and Senate, they'd have some serious questions to answer, and they have some serious PR moves to make, especially policy-wise.
Thank you. Apologies for the delay. My mic is delayed, so we're having technical issues. But thank you for that. I totally agree. There was no strategic plan for our evacuation of Afghanistan. Biden just pulled out. He ignored his military general. We left billions of dollars that is now in the hands of the Taliban. We left hundreds of equipment that is now in the hands of the Taliban. To be fair, some of the equipment is inoperable, meaning it cannot be used. But still, we gave them many things that can be used, and we should not have left that there. But equipment and money is not the only thing we left. We left a list of all our Afghan interpreters and our Afghan allies who are now going to be murdered by the Taliban. Murdered. They're going to be killed and hanged and stoned. We left animals, dogs, cats who are now going to be abused. We left American citizens, American students from California who are now going to be abused, killed. We left everyone. We left our allies. We left animals, equipment, money. There was no plan. He just pulled out. We should have pulled out our equipment. There should have been a plan to pull out. And actually, to be fair, I will put some slack on him. Yes, he is in this situation because of the treaty that Trump signed with the Taliban. However, he still could have had a plan. We should have pulled out our equipment and money first. Then we should have pulled out the civilians that have green cards, etc. Then we should have pulled out our allies, the U.S. citizens, the animals. Then we should have safely pulled out our troops. We shouldn't have rushed all the troops out and left all of the people who helped us and all of the people who are at risk. We shouldn't have done that. And I'm not saying we should have evacuated the whole country. No, we can't do that. There's millions of Afghan people who want to stay there. But we should have evacuated the people who had the right to go to the United States. So I think that's very important. I think it's something very, very sad. And, it's sad that Biden and the media are playing this off as a victory. Nothing about this was a victory. It was a total failure. They're trying to make it seem just because they got 100,000 troops airlifted back to the United States, they're trying to ignore everything else that they left. And it's just really sad. And it makes me mad. And this is one of the things, because as Michael could tell you and other people could tell you, I was a strong Biden supporter in 2020, and I supported him over Trump. Now, after 7 months of all this tyranny and after Afghanistan, I flipped to Trump fully, because this is not something our country should be representing. And we look like an embarrassment, not only the United States, but NATO as well. And China, they're profiting off of this, making money from the Taliban, and now we have another hostile nation towards the United States: Afghanistan, Iran, North Korea, Russia, China. So this is very, very sad, and we really need to get this under control. Rush, is there anything you want to say before we head off for tonight?
I think you hit it right on the spot, but I think the one final thing we just got to put in there is that no matter how much we can tell ourselves that we did a good job, the facts will always stand. And my concern now is if we've already been beaten out of the Middle East by savages and by those that can't do a simple jumping jack, then how are we supposed to defend ourselves when China's knocking on our door with their nukes and their war vessels? Are we just going to let them take New York, California, Washington, Texas? Or are we going to stand? Are we going to show strength? Or are we just going to be walked on, and we can become another stationary state or a whole other country to take, or multiple countries to take, and the United States will fall? Because what we're showing now is that the flag and the state and the motto, "Don't tread on me," now it's turned to "Please tread on me." Go ahead. Walk on me as many times as you like, and I will give you as much as you want. You want 85 billion? I'll give you it. You want money for abortions? I'll give you it. You want weapons? I'll give you it. You want trees? I'll give you it. There is no push. It's all pull, 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 pull. We will never push. We will never stop. We will never put our foot in the ground. So that's just where I'll end it. But
yeah, I completely agree. And the thing you said about if China is knocking on our doorstep, what are we going to do? Not only our doorstep, but if we leave, if we can't even evacuate Afghanistan safely, what does that say for Taiwan? What if Russia decides to invade Ukraine? What if they decide to invade Ukraine? What are we going to do? Nothing. Where China decides to take Taiwan, what are we going to do? Nothing. We're just going to leave our allies there? What if Iran decides to expand in the Middle East, take Iraq, take anything else? What are we going to do? Nothing. So it's really just sad that we can't do that. We're just putting out this message to the world that, hey, we're not reliable. We can't do anything right. And it's sad. This is giving me Vietnam vibes, and it's very sad. So we're going to end our show there. We're going to end it off there for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to have a wonderful show tomorrow as well. And what's happening in this country is really sad, and I pray for this country every single day. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.